Hey, we're back. We're going to be looking at ticker symbol XLU. XLU is the Spider Fund's utility sector. So the last time we looked at this was on March 19th. The current price at that time was 66, so it's gone up 3, maybe $4. I had buy points marked out at 60 and 64, and I didn't have a resistance point on this one, mainly because it's been in a long-term uptrend for over a decade. And so we'll look into the technical analysis here in just a minute. Uh, Not much news, at least not that I saw. Uh, but before we go into the technicals, I just wanted to point out, as I've done with other of these ETFs, number one, I just check here for the holdings. It's virtually all into utilities. Uh, Nothing else even is on the radar. And then also the top 10 holdings for this ETF makes up about 60%. And the biggest contributor is NEE. We do have their profile up here. That's Next Era Energy. They're all about electricity. And they have a variety of ways that they're coming up with that. If we go to their profile real quick, through its subsidiaries, generates, transmits, distributes, and sells electric power to retail. The company generates electricity through wind, solar, nuclear, coal, and natural gas facilities. So it has its hands in all types of electricity generation. It looks like they've beat their expectations on earnings for the past year. We'll see if that continues. But this is one that I may add to I imagine the value type stocks, just because it doesn't seem like there's big growth. This is a dividend type play. I'd be okay with following this, and that way, if we were to see like a big step up in terms of the utilities growth, I would imagine uh, Next Era Energy is leading that front. And if we go back to the distribution, the next one in line is SO or DUK. I believe that's Duke Electric. And SO, I'm not too sure. We'll open those real quick just to see the name. Yeah, so Duke Energy and the Southern Company. Right here, Duke Energy and SO Southern Company. So those are contenders, but most likely Next Era would be the top runner. And then if we want to get into more details, I'd probably pick up maybe Duke Energy or Southern, which actually had a pretty big pop this past last trading day. But with that said, no news, not that I saw, so we'll just jump right into the technicals. And before we dive into the details, I'm just going to update my tracker sheet on the side, just to get it all caught up for us. So to break this one down, I just want to mention right off the bat that there were some changes that were made. So this is what the chart looked like before. Kind of messy. I had two sets of yellow parallel lines and then that purple parallel uptrend line. The purple lines pretty much stayed the same, and the yellow line, I basically condensed that into one set that I felt captured it the most. And so to explain it on this, what my current technical analysis shows, number one, we still have that purple trend line, and that purple uptrend, that takes us back to, let's see, basically 2009. That's when it starts. That captures pretty much everything from 2009 all the way up till about 2020. Then we had crazy activity during the first quarter of 2020. Got back in trend, and then right around, it looks like April of 2021, it seems like the high end of the purple line, so that would be the high end of the long-term uptrend, it seems like that is now the new bottom of a new set of uptrend, and that's why I included this yellow or golden uptrend line, because that purple line, it seems like it just shifted up a little bit, and that's really the method behind me doing what I did here. And you can kind of see that in the fact that that upper limit of the trend line, that's almost acting as support. So if we zoom a little bit closer, right here, that purple, it's still keeping that uptrend, making higher lows, uh, pretty consistent higher highs too. But you can see again that purple line, it acted as support on the way up. Again, it dipped a little bit low to that yellow line. Here, didn't even come close to either. Again here, it's just barely past both those lines. Here it really dipped, but popped right back up within like 2 weeks time. Stayed within our yellow parameter, dip below both again, but sure enough popped right back in a week, and now we're hanging out in that yellow trend line. Then to take it the next step further, we are seeing some consolidation, but to me, I don't really view it. I'm saying consolidation, but at the same time, it's really the fact that this one trends so slowly. Like, while we're making these higher sets of lows and higher sets of highs on a grand scale, if we really look at this, going back to mid 21, the stock price was roughly $60. And right now, going over like nearly 2 years, we've had those consistent step ups. It today is at $69. So it's only gone up $9 in that period, which I know if you broke it down into a percentage, it might be like 8 or 9%. But again, over 2 years, that's not that great of a return. It's better than nothing, but that is why we haven't really invested in this one. You can share your opinion on it. I'd be happy to hear that. I think at some point, I think this is a nice staple to have. Nothing to, like me personally, I couldn't imagine putting more than, say, just given my age and whatever, 5% seems like crazy. 3% is like, okay, I could put 3% of a portfolio into this. 1% is like, that kind of makes sense given today. Maybe like 10 or 15 years, okay, bump it up to 3, and then, getting closer to like 60, 70. Sure, then move it up to like 5%, maybe even 6 or 7, just because, again, you'll see stable, just growth. But taking a step back here, going back into this chart, so we included these horizontal lines to show that there's slight consolidation, and again, that's because it just it tracks up so slowly. That's why I'm somewhat calling it consolidation, but really, again, it's just because it moves up so incrementally slow that it seems that way. So for us to get that 60 point, that's the first point of interest, that's that green line down here. The last time we had a chance was October of last year. I didn't start tracking this until 2023, so that one, it wasn't even on my radar. Again, the last time we looked was during this green bar in here, which that was probably the last chance that we've had where it actually was in that purple parameter, which again is now we're using the yellow parameter, that range. And so going into next week, my ideal would be probably 66, and that's most likely going to continue, where yes, I'll keep this buy point at 60 just in case, because there could be just a flash where yes, it keeps ticking up, but you'll see all of a sudden it broke trend just a little bit. It broke trend again here just a little bit, but then it kind of continued on the normal trajectory. So there's always a chance that we'll get this flash, where it does drop, maybe like 62 or 61. We'll hope to buy it at that point. So what I'm going to do is update the 60. Um, I mean, 60 is the right number, so we'll keep 60, even though, like, for me, if it got to, like, say 62, okay, that would be like a good time that, yeah, let's jump into this one because we should get a small pop and then see that continual uptrend that we want to see. So that's one strategy behind this. And then the second buy point that I had marked out was 64. Again, that was back here and sticking to the yellow trend line, which again, that probably wiggled a little bit because the bottom of that yellow trend was 65, so not much difference, but again, it's something. So I probably had the bottom part of the yellow line just a little bit lower, but here I bumped it up after reevaluating it. And so now looking ahead, just, giving it a week or two to kind of pull back, I think what I'd be looking for is like 66. So 64, that's still a good price, but I think now would be like 66 would be like the first time I'd look at it. And then if it were to pull back lower, okay, that's even better. I would definitely continue to add, or that would be my first buy. Like 66, I'm gonna, okay, start looking at it. If it continues to drop to 65, okay, we'll actually make a purchase. 64, I'll add one more until I maybe add like 3 shares. And that's probably all I'm interested in buying at this point. And I'd say that's a full position in this sector. And that'd be enough for me. But again, let me know your thoughts on this sector. What do you see coming? And just any news that you think is relevant and might be helpful, I'd be very happy to read that. But otherwise, please. Oh, one second. So this is just a recap, real quick. So currently it's at 69. I have buy points at 60 and 66. Resistance point, because it's in that long-term uptrend, I don't really have one. If I had to pick, yeah, we might run into some resistance here at like 76. If it were to like shoot off, I think it would hit that and then pull back. And then, as the uptrend continues, I think ultimately, it'll go through that point and we won't even flinch about it. But getting back to this, so that's why I don't have a resistance point for this one. We updated the date, and then the long-term uptrend, we threw that in there too. So that wraps this up. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.